What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Canes podcast. He is Cam Underwood. He's managing editor of State of the U. StateofTheU.com. Go check it out. Best coverage of the Miami Hurricanes, open 24/7, 365, and it is all free. Go check out Cam and his staff. They do a great job. Awesome stuff. I'm Brian the Beast London. I'm not really awesome at much other than... nothing. I can't come up with anything. Really, nothing. You can follow me at Miami Radio Beast. Cam, normally before the show, we talk a little bit. We kind of flesh out some topics, maybe go through a rundown. But I purposely told you, no, we're not doing that this week.
Hey, sometimes you have to break format. Sometimes you have to, you're being Shannon Dawson right now. You've been running the playbook, and now you're expanding it and doing some different trickeration kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be a different feel to the show, but I'm excited for it, man.
Yeah, I'm going to get in my bag, see what happens.
Shut it up. Let's go.
Baby. Yeah, exactly. First, I will say this. I have kind of an announcement, which I haven't even told you yet, but I believe the platform which we use to record our show has some sort of finagled technology, which I don't know how to use yet, that we will be able to output the show both in vertical and horizontal formats. Therefore, I believe maybe starting next week, we'll have to see how this goes. I will be able to take clips and put it on our new TikTok channel, which I have started this week. And
talking the ticks. Okay.
So, yes, there's going to be a Real Ones Canes podcast TikTok channel. We'll put clips up there. I'll throw some videos up there. Cam, every once in a while, when he has a moment, maybe he'll record something. But we will hit you on TikTok. We can also put them on the Instagram Reels. We can do YouTube Shorts. So the vertical thing will give us more places to be. I just have to figure out how to incorporate that technology. So give it a little bit, but that's the announcement. You'll have more ways to get us, as if you don't have enough already, which is via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe, please like, please share. And whatever YouTube channel you're watching this on, subscribe, share, like, comment, and all of the above. So that's the business to get out of the way.
I love it. Business is good. Let's go, man.
You know what? So here's where we should start. Okay?
Sure.
Other than literally 2 minutes ago, pulling up Virginia Tech on the web and looking at their record and just like, okay, they got a quarterback that can run around. He's been sacked 21 times. They're not very good. Their two leading receivers, both last name is Green, but they're not related. They have a new head coach in James Franklin, but he's not coaching yet. They've been kind of a mess. They kind of need a reset, which is why they're looking for a head coach. That's about all I know about Virginia Tech. I did watch the double overtime game against Cal. That was entertaining.
Oh, okay. I don't know much more. I mean, I did do a show earlier, a different show that I do on Wednesdays. It had my good friend Mike McDaniel from the Basketball Conference ACC Football Podcast, who's a Virginia Tech alum, come on. And we didn't really talk about the game too much. He did tell me, like, Virginia Tech they're all run, no throw. Basically, Kyron Jones is under 60% completions this year, 13 tuds, 7 picks, I think were the numbers. The passing game has really, 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 really struggled for them. Even with that, and even after, getting rid of their former coach and everything, they're big and physical, and they run the ball, which is weird because their offensive line is actually bad, like full stop bad.
Yeah.
But they have Kyron Jones, the quarterback, who runs. They have 2 running backs who are physical, and they run. These are things that Miami's coaches said on Monday and things that Mike reiterated to me when we were on the show earlier. So I know those things about their offense, and this now closes the loop of knowledge. From Monday, Corey Heatherman really leaned on the fact that Miami has to stop the run and make them one-dimensional because that's their only dimension. So if you take away that, then they can do nothing else. And so that's really going to be the key. Physical defense. Most of their better players are in the back 7, so linebackers and secondary, including one Caleb Spencer, who at one time was a Miami Hurricanes recruit and player who promptly left. and now goes there and he plays linebacker. He's maybe a little too small to play here, but he plays really well for them. He's their leading tackler. Is Caleb Spencer. Made a couple of plays in that game last year when they were trying to pull a massive upset. Yeah, and again, Mike McDaniel works for Sports Illustrated. He's, erstwhile beat writer for Virginia Tech. He went there. He hosts 2 different podcasts, one about the ACC and one specific to Virginia Tech. So I'm taking this from somebody who knows their team very, very well. He said Miami should win and cover. It should be maybe competitive for a half. This shouldn't be close. Virginia Tech is 3-7 on the year. They're just going to cut, kind of play out the string. And expect less wrinkles or fewer wrinkles from them this week than other teams might employ in this situation against Miami, because they have the Commonwealth Cup against Virginia, that rivalry game next week. So they would rather keep things in the playbook for that game to try to ruin Virginia's season, as opposed to spending all that, cash now against Miami the week before the biggest game of the year for them. So that's pretty much everything that I know. I agree with Mike. I think that this should be a Miami win and cover kind of situation, 14.5 or 17.5, whatever the number is. We should be winning by 3 to 4 touchdowns. I stand on that. And that's my knowledge about the team that we're playing this week. Boom, done.
Okay. Just as it relates to the game, the last thing, It is a nooner, and it's on the road. And the team will be staying an hour plus away in Roanoke. Which always has me thinking sleepy nooner, and sleepy nooners scare me.
Okay.
Just reassure me. Like, this is not going to be one of those sleepy nooners.
This team is better. I mean, it's the same thing that I've been saying. And I mean, it's incumbent upon Miami to go and perform, but this team is way better than the team that they're playing. I know that people are going to be in the comments, oh, well, that kind of mentality is what gets Miami beat. We're podcasters. I don't make throws. I don't make tackles. I don't commit penalties. I don't do those things. The team has to go show up. But we are light years more talented than them. We are demonstrably better at performance-wise than them on every single metric. We just need to go and show and prove that on Saturday afternoon. Boom, done.
All right. There is our coverage of this week's game of Miami against Virginia Tech. I also believe Miami should win by 3 touchdowns. If that's not the case, I'm going to be upset. And yeah, that's it. That's what we got on the game. One recruiting note, I did see this pop into my feed. We got a nice ass tight end that we recruited, that we flipped. He looks like he can play. That boy good.
Indeed, that boy good. Shout out to Sexual Chocolate. Yeah. Gavin Mueller is his name. Tight end is his game, and he has lots of it. This is a kid who's a basketball player, just came to football last year. Was doing what he's 6'6", 255. So basically round up 6'6", 260 at tight end. He played wide receiver tight end as a junior last year, also some defensive end. And then he has played all over the offense this year, has done Wildcat quarterback stuff, which is great. It's more on the running side of things, as in we're going to run inverted veer or power read, keep the ball and just run through and by and around everybody. He plays at he's from Wheaton, Illinois, South Elgin High School. Not the greatest competition in the world, but when you see him against the competition that he's playing, he looks otherworldly, which is what you want to see in those instances. It's not someone who's just kind of, sort of, as like a little bit better than his competition. He's a grown man playing with little children, against like little, juvenile children, in that kind of a way. He's huge, he's fast, he outruns angles all of the time. Again, I am not expecting him to do that all the time at the college level, but when you think, okay, him running up the seam in the same way of Elijah Arroyo, which has been a comp that I've seen for him, okay, but again, he's 2 inches taller and 10 pounds heavier than Elijah Arroyo doing those kind of things.
Yeah, I saw the man. He's still a boy, but he looks like a man. And I read up on him a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this is good. And then my next thought was, well, you know what? Mario can freaking recruit. I don't care what anyone says. Mario, he can flip, he can recruit, he can get him in the portal. He knows what's going on from the talent acquisition aspect. It's just the actual coaching that we need to perfect, if you will.
I mean, I think that the coaching has been improved, and I'm not going to always ascribe poor performance to bad coaching. I'm not. Even though I know in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, I did write Fireball after the SMU loss because that's an aggregate thing because they lost the game. But like,
right.
he didn't drop that ball. JoJo Trader did. Like, he didn't not call a clear pass interference. The referees did that. He's not the one, like Mario, who didn't call when JoJo Trader got tackled and dry humped in the end zone. But the scenario of the result is what. And I get that.
He also didn't throw 4 interceptions against Louisville.
That was going to be my other point. Like, right, he didn't. At some point you have to put the culpability on the players. But if you want to look at holistically, going back to your sleepy nooner, if you're like, they were not ready coming off of a bye week for Louisville. They were not ready for the trip to then like those things. But like individual performance, at some point it has to be on the performers and everything. But yeah, this if you look at Gavin Mueller and all of the kids that we flipped recently, and there's a lot of them. JJ Dunnigan who was previously committed to Kansas, Keyshawn Stansel, who was previously committed to Clemson, Isaac Chukwura, who was committed to Penn State, Logan Nagel, who was committed to Pitt, DeAnthony Lafayette, who was committed to LSU. Like all these dudes that you're seeing Miami flip, the inexorable connection is elite performance as seniors.
What was that word? What kind of connection was that?
Inexorable.
That's a word?
It is. But if you look at that, they all performed as seniors. And so if you're like, okay, well, these guys were lower rated, like Gavin Mueller was like a 3-star because he only had played a few games, right? Now he goes out and shows dominance as a senior. His film pops. Boom. JJ Dunnigan was an All-American, played in the All-American game after his junior year, but he still goes and elevates his game as a senior. All these guys, they're leaning in not only to just projection from like sophomore year where like you get the early high rankings, but they go out there and they showed and they have proven as seniors. And then he flips them off their commitments to these other places. And there's a more direct correlation to success in college in recent years of guys whose rankings rise at the end because they're not legacy rankings, as in we rank them early as freshmen, rising sophomores, and we just kept them at that level, but they earned their way up the rankings because they dominated as seniors. And so when you have these guys that all are doing that, then that really leans into what you're seeing of all these guys playing early at Miami, all these true freshmen getting snaps. I think 18 true freshmen got snaps last week and 15 the week before or something along those lines. So you're just seeing, and I'm not even talking about a Malachi Tony who's been a starter since day one.
Or Gerard Pringle.
Right. Well, Pringle hadn't really even much played. He was scout team MVP 2 weeks ago and then came in, was game MVP, and then got elevated to starter. I'm talking about guys down the roster. I'm talking about like a Dante Simpson. He didn't play in like the first 5 games, but maybe a handful of snaps. Now, all of a sudden, we have some injuries at defensive tackle. Sure, 2 deep, go right ahead. First quarter, second drive, like snaps in situations that count and matter, go ahead. Third Scroggins defensive end, go ahead. Go out there, get after it. Dudes in the secondary, Bryce Fitzgerald, who's played a lot, but there's been a lot of freshmen who have played a lot. And if you look back 1 year to this time last year, every name that I've just said of guys who have played and impacted games as true freshmen, they were dominant as seniors in high school. So you can see the blueprint changing a little bit. We're going to be on some guys all the way through. We're going to evaluate the landscape, see who, in our own evaluations. And if our evaluation is verified and supported by what they're doing as seniors, go get those guys and they're going to make plays next year. And I am excited for this class. It's 30 strong at this point. Hopefully we get a couple more in there. But yeah, this class is going to be a class that I think is going to do very well.
All right, here's the part of the show that I have been dreading, but I guess we have to do it.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
College football playoff rankings. We are recording this Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Rankings came out just over 24 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
Miami was 13. And at first, when I was actually at dinner with a buddy, so I didn't watch the show live. I was kind of following on Twitter, and I saw Miami's 13, and I just logically went, oh, 13 now. The last 2 games, they'll move up. No problem. We're in. But then I started hearing the comments from whoever that guy is. That's the head of the whatchamahoozy, the committee.
Hunter Yurachek, Arkansas AD.
That guy, yeah. And the more he talked, the more I saw, the more I was like, what is happening? Like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what, like, well, Notre Dame's losses were great. Yes, one of them was to us. It's like everything he said, I was just like wanted to throw things. And I don't even want to, like, you and I could sit here, we could do 3 hours on it.
Easily.
But I don't think that would be the best use of our time.
I agree.
I also might have like 7 coronaries, although I was at my cardiologist today and my ticket is great, actually.
Love that for you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All good. I don't know. Like, I do have a thought, but I'll let you get yours out if you have any.
I have plenty. I shared some on StateofTheU.com. I also shared them on the StateofTheU Twitter, which again has the in front.
I can never find it.
I know some people say that's weird, but the StateofTheU is the Twitter account. It is farcical. It is foolish. It is contradictory and unacceptable on its face, ranking Miami at 13th and Notre Dame at 8th. Wait, no, they're not at 8th anymore. They're at 9, excuse me. In no world ever should Miami have been behind Notre Dame in any ranking this year, period. I don't care what you think. And so it is, and like, yeah, everything that Yurachek said is baloney. I'm not going to curse on here anymore.
Correct. Yeah, baloney. Yeah.
But saying, okay, well, Notre Dame's losses are better than Miami with 2 unranked losses. I get that he's intentionally, like, words mean things, and he's saying that to try to lead you to the fact that Miami lost to 2 very, 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 very bad teams. Miami did not lose to a Florida State. Miami did not lose to a Stanford. Miami lost to 2 teams that are both 7-3, and they're not in the college football playoff top 25 right now, but they're not terrible.
No.
Well, but by positioning it in such a way, that's what you're trying to infer, and you're hoping people will take from that, and then they'll use that as a talking point. Shenanigans, number 1. Number 2, we beat Notre Dame head to head, and you cannot be giving them more credit for losing to Miami than to Miami for beating them.
Right.
Also, then saying, well, these teams, Miami and Notre Dame, are not in the same competitive.
The tier.
No,
the tier. We got to talk about tiers.
Well, I saw somebody who found the CFP discussion chart,
right?
The Robert's Rules of Order. It's not Robert's Rules of Order, but the order of conversation. And so there's a chunk of teams. So 9 through 12 you discuss together, and then 13 through 16 you discuss together. But by putting Utah in front of Miami,
right?
Shenanigans.
Correct.
There's that, but also, like, you can't sit there and try to be passive to the process and to the creation of the rankings and the placements when you are the ones who do the rankings and the placements. So saying, oh, well, they're ranked differently, they're further apart, so we can't compare them. You're the ones who set the rankings. And you can tell, like, Utah is a meat shield. They're not better. And their resume is not better than Miami's, right? But they're placed ahead of Miami as a red coat from Star Trek. You know what I mean? Of just they're just a body shield. They're like, we're just gonna put them there and then whatever, and then we might move them out of the way. But by placing them at 12, then all of a sudden Miami is outside the realm of conversation relative to it is asinine. That, and it is insulting to everyone's intelligence. And if you also, Hunter Yurachek said, that head-to-head is a main factor, and that's why Oklahoma was 2 places in front of Alabama this week, as they should be. They played head-to-head. Oklahoma won. Boom. But then to turn around and say it has no bearing on the fact that Notre Dame is 9 and Miami is 13. Like, it at every sentence he said, it was a direct contradiction. I'll give you even one more. And I'm really trying to stick to the facts of what was said and not putting my emotion into it because I'm really pissed off. Hunter Yurchek said Oregon gets full credit for beating Penn State for the ranking and stature of that program at the time of the game, with no consideration for how they've fallen off a cliff since the end of that game. At the same time, right, Virginia is penalized for Louisville losing subsequent games, including last week, and not for the stature of the program at the time that Virginia beat them. You cannot have it both ways. Like, it's the open contradiction there on a peer level thing. And those kinds of contradictions are rife within the process of this committee. And it's shenanigans at every single metric, at every single point of conversation, especially relative to the University of Miami. And I believe that there are plenty of teams, not only Notre Dame, but I think that there are several teams, and like Utah, who were in front of Miami who should not be. And now they're trying to make this narrative of Miami climbing up into a higher stature of performance when they're the ones who set all of this anyway. And I'm going to close with this. And I want to be wrong. And I don't think that I am. And you and I and everyone else is going to be outraged. Well, I have two final things. One, last year was all about quality wins, not really the losses. But Miami didn't have any quality wins, and that's why they stayed home. Now this year, it's all about who you lost to. But again, even talking about Notre Dame, you're ignoring the fact that Miami beat Notre Dame head-to-head, and you're not mentioning that. And you're trying to cultivate these things by the very fine word choice, especially regarding the University of Miami. So there's that. My final point that I was going to say. I said it earlier, even before Miami lost games. I ran down this hypothetical. If Notre Dame ends the year 10-2 with a loss to Miami, and Miami ends the year 10-2 with 6-2 in conference and not going to the ACC championship game, same as last year, Miami will be at home in the playoffs, and Notre Dame will be in the playoffs in their stead, at the expense of a team that they lost to. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. I don't think that I am. And so all of the bullying on social media and all the blogging and podcasting and all these things, I called that in September, and it looks like we are steaming, towards our impending doom in that kind of a way. And I'm going to rage. And I really, in the depth of my soul, believe that that's going to be the case, that the committee is going to put Notre Dame in at the expense of Miami, both 10-2 at the end of the year. And yeah. I yield my time.
By the way, if that happens, the national championship is down here this year.
It is.
I think Canes fans should just protest, shut the streets down, shut the whole thing down, make a mess of it, because you can go straight to where if that happens.
I want to be wrong, but I don't think I am.
I have two thoughts. One is just a minor thing, and then I have my overall thought, which is one, okay. Alabama has how many losses? 2, right? Okay. Now the one to Oklahoma, that's a quote unquote quality loss, right?
Quality team, absolutely.
But remind me, didn't Alabama lose to let me think. It's coming to me. Florida State. I think that's what they lost to Florida State. Now,
indeed they did.
Did Miami play Florida State this year?
Yes.
Did Miami win that game?
Also, yes.
Okay. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
So common opponent.
Yes.
Same record.
Yep. I got it. Okay.
So again, and I get why, because they play in the SEC and they're going to do all that.
All of that. Yes.
Head to head. Well, I'll be common opponent.
Yeah.
Miami should be ahead of Alabama.
Right.
Miami should be ahead. So yes, extending that out. You are correct, sir. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Just wondering.
Okay.
My last thought is this, and no one's gonna like this. No one's gonna like what I'm about to say. I don't like when it all comes down to it. Should have won one more game. How about that? We would not be in this position if you just took care of your own business. How about
This
that?
is
Just
also
win
true.
one more game, either Louisville or SMU. One of them. If you had just beat one of those teams, you wouldn't be in this predicament. There would not be an argument to be had. You'd be sitting pretty. But you could not do what you had to do. And we all knew this. We all knew that as soon as Miami lost the second game, you're now putting it up to a stupid committee that is never, ever going to give the benefit of the doubt to the University of Miami Hurricanes. Never. And they're always going to prop up Notre Dame. That's how it's going to go for the rest of the time. So we can sit here and go through the minutia and who has better losses and head-to-heads and common opponents and all of this stuff. But the bottom line is you did not take care of business. End of story.
You are correct. This is something that we've all said as well. This is the season-long version of leaving a game up to the referees. You know, like had Miami done what they needed to do, then yeah, we wouldn't be in this conversation. And I'm trying to October 22nd, after the second loss of the year, I wrote that the only path to the college football playoffs is perfection. I wrote a different version of that earlier after the first loss of the year because you have to win out. Like you had to win. Actually, no, that was the first one because the second loss was November the 1st. But yeah, you give by losing games that you shouldn't to inferior, less talented teams by your horrible performance, you have abdicated your agency towards your own destiny. So now, yes, you do have to win out the rest of these games, but there's the and hope for component that makes you a passenger to your own fate as opposed to the driver of the situation. So you are correct. We shouldn't have lost either game, but definitely should have won at least one of them.
Correct.
Didn't, and now we're in this situation. And it stinks. And like I said, I have a sinking feeling that I know how this movie ends because I've seen it before. I hope to be pleasantly surprised by the committee, but like I was born at night, but not last night, buddy. You know what I mean? Like I've seen this. So be ready to be mad in a couple of weeks, guys, is what I'm saying.
We're going to protest. That being said, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
On the other side, it's a topic that I want to get to that we've been teasing for a couple of weeks now that we need to dive into head first and have an honest discussion about. It is the quarterback position at the University of Miami, and I'm not talking specifically about Carson Beck or specifically about anyone, but we need to discuss how the University of Miami handles their quarterback position moving forward. We will do that on the other side. You're listening and watching the Real Ones Canes podcast. Welcome back to the Real Ones Canes podcast. I'm Brian the Beast London. Follow me at Miami Radio Beast. He is Cam Underwood, managing editor, State of the U. Follow Cam at Underwood Sports. Cam, stateoftheu.com. I logged on today. I wanted some analysis, and I got some good analysis, but I also got Paul Feinbaum's shiny head, right in my eyes. Paul Feinbaum's shiny head, right in my eyes.
Yeah, this is a instance of the worst person you know makes a good point. Um,
I know.
but even that SEC homer moron is on the side of Miami is getting jobbed by the committee, which, like I said, the worst person making a good point, because he is one of those. Anyways, Craig T. Smith wrote about those comments and then opined further on them. We actually have the feed going also. I see Edster's in there with some stuff, and there's some other people as well. Also, starting today, comments and feed posts on State of the U will have activity notifications for all the subscribers. So make a free SB Nation account, and then you can get those as well. I wrote about the college football playoff rankings and had some of my thoughts yesterday. Then the ACC power rankings, dear JD, they're saying that there's a chance. The nameless top 25 for the college football playoff committee, which they clearly didn't look at. Monday Musings by Craig T. Smith, who says it's a little bit of a helpless feeling right now. And plenty of more, only a click away for the low price of free. StateofTheU.com. Please come over and fan with us, and we would appreciate that. Thanks.
All right. Go check out StateofTheU.com. All right. Also, just in case you missed it in the first segment, we will be attempting at some point to post content on TikTok and IG and all those places, working with the people of the platform that we use to record the show to get the technical stuff all set up to do that. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned to my Twitter feed, and I'm sure Cam will retweet me or whatever it is whenever we get that up and running. All right, let's dive into this. So this all started a couple weeks ago when Larry Bluestein, who often, just by chance, Larry Bluestein, who does a great job covering high school football,
legend.
Forever, the legend of covering high school football in South Florida.
Nearly 50 years, I want to say.
Yeah, and it's just like literally is like the Yoda of high school football down here. Mm-hmm. He asked me, he said, "Hey, Brian," because he doesn't call me Beast, he calls me Brian, which is fine. I'll let him do it. No one else, though. So he said, "Hey, Brian, do you think this whole going to the portal to get a quarterback is a detriment to Miami trying to recruit top-of-the-line quarterbacks out of high school? Because why would you want to come to play here if you're not going to play, if they're going to end up going to get someone from the portal?" So that's one aspect to it. But what that also leans into is, what is Miami going to do next year at quarterback and the years after at quarterback? Are they going to continue to go into the portal, or at some point is that going to be a pivot to one of the guys that we've developed is going to be the quarterback? So I wanted to get into this discussion because I frankly thought it was a really good one. Mm-hmm. And I think it's one that people, when they're not freaking out about the CFP playoffs or whether we're running towards the A gap, that people are thinking about in Hurricanes Nation. So Cam, I know you have thoughts, and you also follow the recruiting and all that stuff a lot more than I do. Mm-hmm. I have thoughts as well, but what say you?
So wait. So let's start with your thoughts, actually. Let's flip it up.
So,
because you've been thinking about this. Like, this is your topic. This is your baby. You're the one who said you wanted me to remind you to bring this up, and you were the one who had the conversation with Blue already. So I'm interested to see. So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think you opened. It was either you or Brandon during the game, and I apologize for not remembering which one of you said this. I was high on Nerds candy.
Those are so good.
Jesus. I know by the way, the Nerds gummy clusters are like the best candy invented in the last 10 years. Yeah. We introduced Cam to him, and now he knows, and what have you. So I was on a sugar high, so I wasn't really paying attention. But one of you said, "Listen, there's no detriment because these guys are still going to get paid. They're going to make money to come to the University of Miami. And when it's all said and done, like, life-changing money is life-changing money. And what happens after that, they're probably not thinking about, but certainly to come in as a freshman and make whatever you're going to make is a thing." So that kind of opened my eyes a little bit and had made me think a little bit more. But the bottom line is this. The University of Miami, like Mario Cristobal and the University of Miami, needs to get back to winning a championship. So, unfortunately, we are in a time in college football where it's really about mercenaries at a lot of positions. Yes, you develop freshmen, and Cam in the last segment did a great job of talking about all the freshmen that have made an impact. And you've seen the shift in recruiting that now we may hold off a little bit. And then when a guy is showing out senior year and it looks like he's going to be something to recruit him, because we know there's going to be a less of a learning curve for that player when they get to college and be able to make an impact. So yes, there's still a room for freshmen, but the bottom line is you have to do what you have to do to win. In order to keep up with the Joneses, you have to have talent at certain positions, and quarterback is certainly the most important. So if that means that someone comes available on the transfer portal market, that you could just do the pros and cons of taking this guy versus playing the guy that we have, sitting behind the guy that we have, you go and take the guy. Unfortunately, it's nothing personal. It's business. Right, it's like as David Sampson would say, right? It's not personal; it's just business. So, I think, listen, I don't think it's a great precedent to set. I would love to groom a quarterback and have them ready to go. We can discuss whether we think Emory's that guy, but I'm really not even thinking about that in those terms. I'm just thinking, who is the best quarterback for my team, and if they're available and I can get them, whether they're on my roster or not on my roster, they're going to play quarterback for my team. That's my thought process.
I largely agree with that thought process. I think that you have to evaluate what you have. And if you're confident that what you have can do the job, then you let them do the job. Period. If you like what you have at running back, then you stick at running back. I think that, after we had so many guys leave last year at running back specifically, we went out and got Marty Brown as a multi-year targeted kind of transfer. Cool. But you got the one to replace the three. But you're confident that everybody else can do the job, and then you rely on, like a Gerard Pringle, stepping into growing into his role that you recruited him to play. I think that anywhere you really want the guys that you're recruiting to work out in terms of playing. But nobody's complaining about Jacoby Thomas.
No.
Zach Poyser. Keontae Scott.
Nope.
David Blay.
No.
You know what I mean? Even though I know that he's not the biggest name in the world, Ethan O'Connor at cornerback, nobody's complaining about CJ Daniels, especially when you're seeing JoJo Trader drop the ball so many goddamn times before this last game. You know what I mean? These got Keelan Marion, who's really stepped up as a receiver. Nobody's really complaining about those. It's really singular at quarterback because you play one. You play multiple of these. Every other position on the field, you're going to play multiple guys a year. You play one quarterback, he makes all of the throws, or 97% of the throws that your team makes in a given season. If you have somebody who can do it, cool. If Emory had showed in the second half of that bowl game last year that he was on the level or close enough that with a off-season, spring, summer, that he could step in and have done the job, Carson Beck isn't here. But he proved and showed that he couldn't. He was not ready for primetime players. That's not just for SNL. He was not ready for primetime. So we had to go and do what we had to do. For me, yeah, I think, honestly, you got to do what you got to do to go win. This is not, I think you had leeway at the beginning of the Cristobal tenure to try to make it work internally and suffer the growing pains that came along with it. At the level of this program now, in a championship contending window iteration, I know we lost two stupid games, and that performance has taken us out of title contention or lowered the likelihood. But that's the state of affairs presently. This is not a 5-7. This is not a 7-5 team. This is a 10-2 is a disappointment kind of a team. You don't have time for the growing pains. You don't. So you got to do what you got to do. And I don't think that being a mercenary team at quarterback is going to prohibit Miami from getting talented passers to join the program. I think Darion Coleman is very talented. I think Luke Nichols is very talented. I know that we saw the one throw from him last week was woefully underthrown in his first action, pretty much ever. But that one throw does not define his legacy here.
No.
And just Luke Nichols was a 4-star recruit, ended his high school career on a 25-game winning streak. As a junior, they were the Dragon Slayers who went through 4 of the top 5 seeded teams in the highest classification in Georgia to win a state championship. And the other one that they didn't go through lost to one of the other 5 teams. So they went through everybody's face. And then they were the big dogs, and they just beat everybody. This is a guy who's demonstrated that he has great potential. Darion Coleman is out here hooping at Orlando Jones. He was feeding Vernell Brown III the ball last year to help him get his 5 stars and everything. I'm not saying it was entirely because of the quarterback, but you need to have a quarterback getting the wide receiver the ball to have that kind of a ranking. There are guys with talent, but I'm not going to let those guys coming here inhibit me as Miami going out and getting whomever to play quarterback next year if I think that other player gives us a better chance to win right now. We got to go and win. We cannot take steps backwards. I think those are my kind of roundabout takes.
So here's the bottom line, right? Is that I according to my research before, it's hard to look all this stuff up and make sure you're right. I think in the last 20 years, the youngest quarterback to win a national championship was Trevor Lawrence. I think he was 19 or 20. Something like that. The bottom line is this: not many 18-year-olds are ready for that. You're going to need someone that has some experience in order to win, to take you where you need to be. Okay, so that's one, right? So someone that has some sort of experience. Now, in a perfect world, that experience would be on your roster, right? In a perfect world, Emory who's had plenty of experience at this point, including in some pretty clutch situations before he broke his arm.
At Florida State 2 years ago.
At Florida State, 2 years ago. He would be the guy, right? Because he's had experience, he's mature, and he's grown, and he's ready to be the guy. The problem is that, or not the problem, but I guess it's a good problem to have, is that there's free agency in college football now. And if once the season is over and you survey the landscape and someone becomes available on the open market, you've got to do the math. And you've got to say to yourself, well, if so-and-so player is available and he has an interest in Miami and we can make the finances work, all the NIL stuff and whatever hoops you have to jump through, and that player for sure is a sure thing that is better than Emory because you've seen the tape or what have you. And remember, Miami coaches see Emory Williams every day in practice. They know what they have. Okay. You have to do those calculations. And if the guy that's available is better, then you have to that's the way you have to go. And I'm not saying that Miami has to go out in the transfer portal every year. That's not what I mean. But you do have to have those conversations.
Yeah, you do. And I think that it's clear. And I know that people are going to look at the 9 interceptions and the 2 losses. Carson Beck is better than Emory Williams. So you had to go and do. And again, we saw in that bowl game, everybody was tweeting me during the second half of that bowl game. Yo, what are we doing at quarterback? He's not it. We got to go get somebody. We got to da. And did. Now, is it perfect? No. But you have to do what you have to do. Now, you're investing time and resources in developing what's on the roster. And, Darion Coleman talks a big game about basically I'm as talented, as a passer as Cam Ward and whatnot. If he comes and is able to do that, great. And you're seeing guys in other places develop. The starter at, my cousin Bryce at Michigan, he's a true freshman, but he's there. I know that everybody's on Lenora Sellers. I think he's an incredible athlete, but not a good quarterback. But he's grown from the ground up at South Carolina. There's guys all over the country who have developed where they are and are starting. So it's possible, but if you don't have that, you got to go get one.
So let me ask you this question.
Please.
Is there... Okay, let me ask. That's a better way to ask it. Give me the odds on Emory being the starting quarterback next season.
I'd say they would have okay, so negative is a favorite, so I would say plus 3,000 right now. Like it's definitely
plus 3,000.
I would say leaning in the way of somebody else. Yeah,
plus 3,000. I mean,
at least fine, plus 1,000. Like I would have it 3 to like 3 to 1 in favor of somebody else being the quarterback.
Okay.
I'm not sold on Emory. Like I get that you are a little taken aback by that. I am not here for Emory Williams. I'm sorry. I've seen it. Even when he's come in these instances, I don't think he has the range. I thought that he was a depth piece, a program player. I never really thought that. Hold on one second. Emory Williams recruited.
By the way, plus 3,000 is 30 to 1. By the way, it's not 3 to 1.
Okay, so it's more. Well,
it's. Yeah, because if you put in gambling terms, if you put down $100, you would get 3,000.
Maybe not plus 3,000 then, but like at least plus 1,000. Like I think it's
so it's 10 to 1.
Yeah, look, hold on one second.
I'm holding. I would say like.
Can you share what I just put up, please?
Well, yeah, there it is.
So this is from the recruiting notebook that I wrote for Emory Williams when he signed. And you'll see exactly what I wrote, and I'm just going to quote myself. Williams has talent, but he's definitely more of a developmental player at quarterback for Miami. With the talent on the roster and development needed, Williams is to be game ready, fully expected to be 3+ years until he sees the field. This is year 3 presently. I do think Williams is maybe a bit more talented than others, but it's hard to forecast him starting here. If he does, it means he's made a big leap in his skills, and that wouldn't be a bad thing. Still, with the trajectory that Miami desires to be on, the level of recruiting possible with Chris Paul coach, it's hard to envision a world where Williams isn't recruited over in the near future, even as early as Miami's next recruiting cycle, which was Luke Nickel. Still, Williams is better than other developmental prospects that Miami has signed in recent years. I stand by that. So don't fully count him out for being a factor of the QB competition a couple of years down the road. So if there's a competition, then all these things line up. But he basically a program player, a developmental guy who maybe if things go right, maybe he's
when was that? When was that written?
I mean, that was 2022. I do recruiting notebooks on every signing day. I'm way behind this year, but that's from 3 years ago, guys. And I said it's going to be 3-something plus years. You're going into year 4 where maybe he's a component of a QB battle. I wrote that years ago, and I stand on that. I don't think he's a primetime player. I don't think in the hypothetical espoused in that piece, if he's at the top of the depth chart, that means he's taken a leap forward. I don't think he really has.
So then let's go down the roster, right? You have Emory. We're not sold that he's definitely going to be the starter.
Correct.
Luke Nickel, is he starter? Is he QB1 next year? Does he jump over Emory?
He's going to need to really take a leap forward this spring.
So probably, I mean, those odds are not great in his favor.
I mean, there are freshmen starting across the landscape.
No, I'm just saying, but what you just said, like, it's not, that's no sure thing.
But he's more talented and with a higher ceiling than Emory Williams. I think that Emory Williams' floor is higher right now just because he's further along his developmental path. But I would prefer Luke Nickel, but obviously they got to go and perform. But yeah,
Judd. No.
I mean, no, absolutely not. He if he ever plays a meaningful snap here, something went very wrong.
And homeboy that's coming in next year, was it Darion Coleman? Is that his name?
Darion Coleman, who will early enroll. I mean, if he sets the world on fire, maybe there's a package for him. I don't think that he's physically built like he's a smaller dude. He's like 6'1.5" and like 170 pounds. It's different than like my play cousin Bryce Underwood at Michigan, who's like 6'4", 230. Like physically, it's a different kind of a thing for him, and he would have to come up and get up to speed. And like with all due respect, Bryce Underwood broke NIL records for what his contract at Michigan. So like they were going to play that kid. He got an 8-figure NIL deal. Darion Coleman is very talented. He ain't getting no 8-figure deal. That's going to push him up onto the field. So like and you have 3 dudes there. Because I don't really even count Judd as a Miami level player. I really don't. So you really have 3 dudes plus this big gangly dude who like is athletic, but he hasn't shown any kind of developmental skill. That's really where we are. If Luke Nickel doesn't take a really big step forward, in my eyes, you're in big trouble. So are you willing to take a step backwards from being in the conversation to the end for college football playoff? So you're not willing to go to that 8-4, potentially 7-5.
Although, so if you start to look at the team, right, like your offensive line, I don't think is going to be nearly as good.
They're going to be very talented, but probably not as skilled. Correct.
Which that impacts the quarterback position in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, if you're not going to have an offensive line that's as talented, you need someone that's mobile to get the hell out of the way.
At least, yeah. Pocket mobility and like short area to get like maybe a step outside, not like Lamar Jackson peak, at Louisville, just gallivanting around. Yeah, you do need that. Yeah.
All right. Do we dare start talking about who's in the portal or who will be in the portal, or do we leave that for another show? Just to
there's been plenty of speculation. People have been trying to put Lenora Sellers from South Carolina to Miami since before the season. I know people are talking about Sam Levitt now, even though.
Yep, I was just going to bring him up.
Sam Levitt's brother was texting back and forth with Pete Nakos from On 3, who broke the story or reported the story. And the Levitt brother was saying, well, why would you say that? He's undecided as to what he's going to do, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure that there's going to be other names because there's always people who are moving around. So it will be interesting to see.
CJ Bailey coming home?
That's a tough one because I know that he's had a decent, above average season, even including like a very, 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 very good game against Georgia Tech. He was awful against our defense.
Correct.
And you're going to need to be better than that consistently to play here. And I know that he said he didn't have anything to prove to Miami, and he's just coming out there. But
he was pressed. He was
the demonstrative nature of him when he came out of that tunnel, jumping around, and he's pointed his whole 200-person family section, and not like he, of course, like you say it in the press because you don't want to give locker room material. He wanted to show and prove something, and I think at the end of the day, Mario, you want to know why we didn't offer you, even though you tried to sell us a bill of goods, that if we did, that all of the kids from Chaminade, including Jeremiah Smith, would have been here?
Right.
There you go. So I like CJ Bailey. I don't love him, especially when you're going to consider the finances it will likely take to get him from NC State here. It's too rich for my blood, I believe.
There's also a sense that, in my mind, right, when you think about getting a transfer portal quarterback, the pros should outweigh the cons. Like, there has to be a huge upside.
Yes.
Right? Because you don't want someone coming in that is on any kind of a learning curve. You need someone coming in that has a command of the position and is ready to be QB1, day one. Let's go. Let's take a shot at this thing.
You're not bringing in somebody to develop. You're bringing in somebody to do the job.
Right, which is why you're going in the portal in the first place, right? Because you don't, right? You like if there's questions, or if you wanted someone where there's question marks, you would just stick with what you have. You wouldn't go into the portal to get someone that has question marks. So,
well, I mean, the preponderance of question marks. Right, there were question marks with Carson Beck.
Sure. And, okay.
I mean, I know like some of those have come to fruition, unfortunately. There were question marks with Cam Ward, and it was like a couple throws in a couple of games, but otherwise it was all check marks. So like, nobody's perfect and no player is going to be perfect. And
right. I get you're not going to get Tom Brady or Joe Montana to come play quarterback.
But my point is, I know that you know that. I was saying it for the people listening and watching, because I don't want them to let perfect be the enemy of good. Because even with Cam Ward, when we were down at Cal, it was burn him, leave him out there in the Bay Area, don't let him back on the plane. And he was looking cool as cucumber. And we saw that comeback and everything, right? Because of his talent and ability. Was it perfect? No. Was it incredible? Very good. Yes. And I just don't want people to be caught up in bringing in a transfer quarterback has to be perfect when they're here, and letting that having that factor overlook the very good. Even with Carson Beck, who I guarantee is light years better than Emory Williams and what he would have done this year. Because if you think that an Emory Williams-led team wins the opener against Notre Dame,
no chance.
Not a shot. Not a shot.
That's not happening. All right. That'll do it for this episode. We will continue this discussion. I'm going to put some effort over, whether it's this week or the next couple of weeks, the Thanksgiving break, to start looking at who the possibilities might be if we go into that direction, and we will have that discussion. Do me a favor, everyone. If you're watching this on the YouTube, like, subscribe, share. Most importantly, though, get involved. Make some comments. I'll get back to you. We'll have at it. And then I'll be able to tell Cam that you don't like what he's saying, and then he'll get on there and make valid points, and then people will get quiet and disappear real quick because Cam made valid points.
Look, I usually watch YouTube on my PlayStation, not on my computer. So I see the video, but it's harder to interact with the chat comments there. But if you make comments, I'm committed that I will check the comments at least twice a week. So I will, if you engage with us, even I will be there to engage back with you. So like, subscribe, leave a comment, all of those great things. Thanks for joining us. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Brian, lead us out.
On that note, we will see you next time right here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. Peace.